Just want to let you know that we're also on Brighteon.com. You can find our channel there.
So a lot of people ask me what it's like living in El Salvador, especially being a Canadian and being in the snowy climate. And we hear horror stories sometimes about how hot some countries are, and people ask me how it is here. So I actually have adjusted well to the temperature. We don't have AC in this new house. I have this little fan I have off because it would be very noisy in the video, but I have this in my bedroom at night. I'm in my bedroom now. We have a ceiling fan, and I actually don't mind the temperature. We have two tower fans in the sort of family room, great room, and they oscillate. I guess the only time if I'm doing a lot of work around the house or something, I might get hot and sweaty. Usually what I do all the work around the house and I go take a shower and I get dressed and then I feel fine. And yeah, other than that, maybe if you go outside at 3 o'clock and try to walk to the mall, you might find it's a bit warm then, because we did that one day and that was incredibly warm. It was only about 1.6 kilometers, I think, but it took us over an hour to walk it because it was a couple of days after we went to the water park and I was already sunburned. And I did have a hat on, so, you know, my face was kind of covered. My leg was on fire and I was like, wow, it's so hot. So yeah, I don't advise going on long walks at 3 o'clock. But when we left the mall, I think it was 5:30, 6 o'clock, it was already dark, and or just about dark. And the temperature adjustment was like at least 10 degrees less or something. Like it was, you know, much easier. We could have walked home, except I already was kind of tired by that time. But that would have been the ideal time to either walk home instead of take an Uber there and then walk home. That would have been better off. Or had we left maybe earlier in the day before it got too hot. 3 o'clock is hot. So other than the temperature, what is it like living in El Salvador? So I made myself some notes here on my computer, and I want to tell you a little bit about some experiences that we've had while living in El Salvador. And the first thing I could say is that you have to have a lot of patience. If you're coming here, I know people say with your first world expectations and how things work, especially with customer service or dealing with anybody, you're gonna probably be a little frustrated or maybe disappointed, I'm not sure. I'm going to tell you about our banking experience. So I did try to open up a bank account when we lived at the Airbnb, but first off, I didn't have anything with my address on it, so that was not going to work. And I didn't have my temporary residency card or, you know, anything else that they're kind of asking for. And so we kind of just gave up on that thought, waiting till after we get our temporary residency cards, or at least, I mean, next week I should have, or maybe this week, I should have the bill for the internet and it would be in our name. So we'd have a bill with our address with my name on it. So that would work out well. But other than that, I hadn't kind of ignored the banking system until we went to pay rent. So our rent is due on the 25th of the month, and we went on the 24th just because we weren't sure how things were going to play out, and we went to go pay our rent. So first off, I took some money from the bank machine, and although my daily limit is 1,000 Canadian a day, I couldn't get any more than 500 from the bank machine here. I don't know why that is. I tried 600. That's still under my 1,000 Canadian. I mean, the exchange rate isn't that bad yet, but I couldn't really get anything over 500. I don't know. I tried 2 different bank machines to get the same problem. So 500 is the most you can take out. Our rent is 600. I had a little bit of cash on me, so we were fine. But just, you know, there's some limitations. It also cost me $7.91 American to use that ATM. And from the Canadian side, I get charged $3 Canadian to use a foreign bank machine. So I think it was like, that's 13 bucks or something Canadian, or $14 to take out 500. So if you only take out 500 at a time, that would get rather expensive quickly. So we're looking into using Wise, and Wise has a debit card, or I guess just moving money to Bitcoin and then going to the Chivo ATM and taking out money from my Bitcoin. So that would be the other way to make it easier to get money here. Anyway, that wasn't really the problem. Not that it's a problem, it's just different. So we went into the bank, and first thing they asked for is, everywhere you go here, even at the water park, when I went to get a locker, she wanted my ID. I'm like, okay, I came to a water park, I didn't even bring my purse. I don't have ID. I brought a debit card, I brought a MasterCard, and my phone. That was fine. I'm like, I'll show you I took a picture of my passport. It's on my phone, I'll show it to you. But she actually wanted the ID to hold, to give me the lock. So I had to pay a deposit because I didn't have ID. So ID is asked for like almost everywhere here. When we have an Uber driver that comes into our gated complex, even just to drop us off, he has to leave his, what they call the DUI, which is sort of like your sort of like your driver's license, social insurance number, the kind of ID that you would give out. Like in Canada, we would just use our driver's license for this type of, when they say, show me your ID. Nobody would show your social insurance number because that's personal tax stuff, but the DUI here is used for tax purposes. So I don't know, it's not the secret number here. So you go to the bank, they ask for ID just to get a number so that you can wait in line. I'm like, okay, well, luckily I have my passport on me. So he started typing in my passport number, even though he missed the letter. I think it starts with AT, and he forgot the T. I'm like, you forgot the T. Anyway, it wasn't that important. I got a number, we're all happy, and we had to wait for like an hour. We were there at 4 o'clock, the bank closed at 5. Figured we had lots of time, but we didn't leave there till, it was after 5, like 5:10 maybe we left the bank. So first, when we get called up, which of course took a while, the girl didn't speak any English, so that's fine. We had our translator, and I had taken a picture out of our lease of the landlord's bank account number and her name. It's not her name. I guess maybe it's her name. It's a much longer name in the lease than the name that I have on my phone for her. It's like she has 4 or 5 different names. So it's all in there, and I started writing it out, and I wrote it on this slip of paper that I had with our number on it. And of course, I was in a bit of fluster or something. When I was writing up the number, I mistaken the last one. It was the number 7. I put 6, whatever. But I showed it to her on my phone, and then I written it down on the paper, and I showed it to her. And I don't know if that confused her or what happened. But anyway, she went over to talk to her colleague. Her colleague came over, and he said, "Oh, I'd be my pleasure to help you. I just want to finish with this customer first." So he spoke English. So he finished with that customer, and then we went to talk to him. And that's when I found out it probably was, maybe I made it more complicated by writing the wrong number down, but I did show it to her on my phone. And it's not, they don't have numbers in like the contracts and stuff. It's written out, like the word 0 is CERO, and it says CERO, and then it's all, so it's not numbers. So it was easy to, my brain just forgot 6 and 7, mixed them up or something, and from Spanish to English. So anyway, that was fine. He helped us out, and he found the right bank account and verified it was her name and everything. And then he asked about, like, I counted up the money in front of him, and he asked where we got the money. And I said, well, I thought it was just casual conversation from the bank machine, right? He's like, can I have the slip that you used at the bank, like the bank machine gave you, to show that you got the money from a bank account, and I'm not some crazy, whatever, bad person who's, extorting money from the locals or something like that. I had to have proof of where I got the money. I only had $500 on that slip because I can only take out $500 at a time. He didn't ask me for where the other 100 came from, but it's just interesting because it's like they don't want to take the money unless I can prove I knew where the source came from. That was a legitimate source, right? Anti-money laundering stuff, right? Ironically, with that whole thing with TD there the other week with the $3 billion money laundering charge. But anyway, I digress. Apparently Canada is one of the #1 countries for money laundering. Who knew? So anyway, I showed him where it came from. He did tell me that the landlord couldn't access all the money in her account when I deposited it. There's going to be like a hold on some of it. I'm like, why does that matter to me? She asked me to put money in her account. That's how we're paying the rent. I'm doing it. I did it the day before. So technically by the day she, was due, she could take out the whole thing, I guess. Anyway, I just found that was really interesting. And it did take over an hour just to put $600 in my landlord's bank account. So like I said, a lot of patience. You have to have a lot of patience when you are here. So the other thing, we're starting another business to add on to the business we already have created for hospitality. We're adding on another business, and we had to do some paperwork for that business. So the people who are, doing the business with us, they had done their registration for their municipalities. Then they came to get us to do our registration in our municipality. So they had been to, I guess, the mayor's office, they said. And they said you could go to this other office, when they pick us up, we can go to this office at the mall. And we get to the mall, like, there's no office at the mall. We're like, okay. So we asked for directions, and people told us where it was, and we found it. And they said, this is the wrong office. Like, okay, we're at the wrong office. And so we go to we asked directions, where's this other office? We go to this other office, and we get there, and it's like a very long building with many doors. So we went to the one door the guard told us to. That was the wrong one. They told us to go to the other door. We go to the other door, and we get there, and the guy's like, we don't have the forms. Like, the system is down or something to that effect. So this was last Friday. We're supposed to go tomorrow, Tuesday, to hopefully get this part done. Like, wow, we're just like led all around. And I mean, we had actually had lunch when they picked us up, and probably we should have just started our venture looking for this place then, because it took us almost like maybe 2 hours to drive around to find where we had to go, and they all close at 4 o'clock. So you know, you gotta be quick there. So I just want to mention, having patience is a great skill in this country, and I mean, it's in general things are more relaxed here. And when you're talking to people about, like, we live in a place where there's a lot of traffic, so when people come to visit us, it's, you know, they may only be 16 kilometers away, but it's going to be over an hour before they get here, like, for sure. So we had a delivery of our desk the other day, and they called in the morning to say that they're going to come and do the delivery in the evening because the traffic. So we're off the Lourdes highway, and this has like Los Chorros, it has the Termas del Rio where we were the other day. It has, I think, both of the Mayan ruins that we had visited last year on this road. And I think this road even goes to Ruta de las Flores. So it's quite a scenic area. So, and plus it's the only major highway going through here up to Santa Tecla, San Salvador. And they're doing construction on it. So I think I showed some in the video of how they're terracing the cliff so that there's less landslides. And they're putting grass all down these terraces, and also widening. I think there's going to be 3 lanes both ways eventually. Some has 3 lanes now, some still has 2 lanes, and sometimes the 2 lanes are down to 1 lane. So yeah, the traffic can be kind of crazy here. And I don't know what it is. Every time we've gone somewhere, at least 3 ambulances go in there and at least 3 ambulances coming back. I don't know if that's like on a major route to a hospital, but even the other day when we went out on Friday, the people that picked us up, they said, like, we'd seen 2 ambulances together, and they said that was like 6 or 7 ambulances that they've seen the whole day. It's like, wow, this is like a major road. It's not like in Canada when the ambulance is coming and everyone just pulls over to let the ambulance go through. Some people kind of pull over a little bit, but of course there's not a lot of room with the lane reductions and stuff. So not everyone pulls over. I'll just say that. Like, I think they're getting better. I think that's what people have commented on, but they don't always pull over when an ambulance is coming with lights flashing and sirens going. I want to talk about our temporary residency process. So we went into the office with the kids. So we all went together. We had to rent a bigger vehicle for all 5 of us to go. When we got there, we spent probably 2 hours. By this time, the kids were like completely bored out of their minds, but then they had their phones with them and whatnot. But what happened was there was some issues with the translation in certain spots, and they're very, and I mean very meticulous. Our friends helped us by getting the people that need to translate it and notarized. So what they did was they gave us a document of all of our documents back and a list of observations, right? So we had to do police checks before we left Canada. One would say RCMP, where you put the address in a letter, and then it would say the Royal Canadian Mounted Police later on in the text. Well, when they translated that to Spanish, they left it as RCMP in the top and then translated the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So anything like that, there was a part at the bottom where they had the address. It was over 4 lines in English. They missed a line in Spanish. They only put 3 lines. The documents had to be translated and they're time stamped, and they had to be done in a certain order. So one would say, okay, this was done at 10 o'clock, and then this is done at 10:15, and then this is done at 9:30. And she said, no, that one has to be later in time than the other ones. So it's really, really, really meticulous. So we had that list of observations. Our lawyer friend took it all back to the other guy who did the translation. Like, something was a woman actually, and got everything notarized again. And then we went back, just GJ and I. And when we went through, Annika's and Willem's paperwork still was something wonky. I can't remember. Oh, the birth certificate. It's a very long legal size form. And there was a footer that was missing. It wasn't translated in Spanish. So those 2 are missing the footer. So when we did ours, everything was fine. We paid for mine and GJ's. The kids weren't with us, so they didn't do Lawrence's, even though his was fine at this time. And then we went back again with the kids this time. We had to like hire a car that had more seats for all of us to fit in. And when we got there, because Willem and Annika's birth certificates are from Ontario, they have like a Ontario number stamped at the top in red. And when they did the copy paste, they left Annika's number on both hers and Willem's. So then while we were there waiting, our friend ran over to that lawyer's office with that one form, got him to redo it, put the right number on, stamp it, and came back. And then we paid for all the kids, and they got their pictures taken and all that stuff. So it took 3 times going to this office, and like basically 3 days, because by the time you drive there, you do your thing, maybe you pick up a few groceries or something, and then come back, like that's a whole day. It was like 3 full days in Santa Tecla at Las Cascade Mall, where the office was. And so I get to really know where the bathrooms were in that mall and all the restaurants. And we get to eat every time we were gone out because we were gone for so long. So you have to have patience. I said patience. You have to have definitely some patience going on there. So on my list, I have, so this is something I found interesting. You can buy almost anything you want from Facebook Marketplace new. If you want to buy something secondhand, this is where it gets a little tricky, because at home I'd be looking for like a dining room table set and chairs secondhand, hoping maybe $50 to $100, right? And maybe I could have had to glue some pieces on, or repaint it or something like that, right? I cannot find almost no used furniture here, so everything we bought was new. But I think everything was sort of through Facebook Marketplace. Even our tables and chairs and our beds and our sofa set was all through Facebook Marketplace first, from when I saw the ad for the sofa. And then we went to go see them. Well, actually went to go see it in person, but we actually didn't see the sofa from that store in person. We saw the same sofa, because it's Salvadorian made, in a different store for like double the price. And we'd sat on it there, and then we went to go see it in this place where we actually got it from, which was interesting, because you walk in and the furniture is right, like there's just a small path. You walk, the furniture comes all the way up and down, and tall ceilings, and there's a path, and we walked through the path, and everything is wrapped in saran wrap and everything. And the guy's like, the sofas are upstairs, and the stairs were like, they were a metal frame with concrete steps, and they went right to the wall, so you had to kind of come in over the first step. It was odd. And when I looked, two of the steps were, the concrete was broken. There's just a rebar showing. I'm like, I'm gonna pass. I'm going up the stairs. Plus, he didn't speak any English, the guy that we had at the time, and I think we were using the translating app. And anyway, so then they put me on the phone with Walter, who helped me. He wasn't the guy I talked to on the WhatsApp Messenger, the Facebook Messenger, but he was the guy that, I guess he's the only guy that speaks English in the store. Maybe he ran the store, I'm not sure. And then that's how we ended up buying the beds and stuff, just through him sending me pictures through WhatsApp when we were talking. And be like, oh yeah, okay, I like that bed, I like this bed, that kind of stuff. So that started out through Facebook Messenger for the sofas, but we end up getting all four beds, the table and chairs, and the 2 sets of sofas from there. And the other one is the desks. I found those on Facebook Marketplace too, but she wanted a $100 deposit, or she wanted like half deposit, which ended up being $100. So I actually bought those completely sight unseen, because we did find her, tracked her down. They just make them in their house, right? So we tracked her down in her address she gave, that's one of my other tips on the addresses. She showed me photos on her phone. She was going to bring me down the materials, like they were made of, like paper down a piece of melamine and it's some metal. I don't know. Anyway, we ended up buying them sight unseen, just from the pictures. And I gave her $100 then, and then they brought them, and I paid the $100 plus. I think I gave her, was it 10 or 20 for the delivery, something like that for those. So I got those off Facebook Marketplace. There's all kinds of stuff. I looked at like different appliances and different things through Facebook Marketplace. Like I would like to have the Ninja blender with the food processor, because I did not bring my blender nor my food processor. They're not in the shipping container. They get left behind, among other stuff. So I thought maybe I could get those through there. Oh, the other thing I got from Facebook Marketplace was the mattress covers for the beds. They're these bamboo ones. And again, sight unseen, and they delivered them. And I don't know if there was I don't think there was a delivery charge. The guy brought them on a motorcycle, like the food delivery is coming on a motorcycle. Guy brought them on a motorcycle with the 4 mattress covers, and I just paid whatever, I think it was like $96 or something like that. So you had to have cash. Cash is good, and the exact amount's even better, because you don't know if they're coming with change, right? Okay. I did get a food delivery on my birthday from a girl who I met through the WhatsApp group, and I got some Indian food, and I told her it was like $80 some or something, whatever it was with the delivery. It was a big order. So I told her I would need change, because I only had whatever $100 bill, and so she came with the change. So it's good if you don't have the exact money, you tell them, so they can come with the change when they're bringing you whatever you've ordered, right? And like I said, Facebook Marketplace, it's really hard to find secondhand stuff. I did use the words like used or stuff like that. But anyway, I found a lot of people make stuff in their homes, or these workshops that are really in obscure places. They advertise everything on Facebook Marketplace. They may not be able to ever find a storefront for these places. So they do this through Facebook Marketplace, and I guess word of mouth, because otherwise I don't know how they get their products sold. But this is what most locals do here. They just buy stuff from Facebook Marketplace, and it's brand new. There are Agro mercados all over the country, and they have really inexpensive fruit and vegetables there. We haven't been to one yet. I know that they're inexpensive because the prices are set. So Bukele had put out an advertisement on Twitter. I think it was before we got here, so it was probably early summer, about how they were setting up these agro mercados all over the country. So the closest one to us is like 7 clicks away, so it's not really walking distance. But I think it's actually in the same outside in the parking lot of the building we went to set up the business stuff, the paperwork, that they didn't have the paperwork. That place that had the sign, it's Agro Mercado, and there had maybe 4 stalls. So I'm not sure how it works, because I'm imagining these would be lots more vendors, but maybe in our area there's not a lot of vendors. But if you're growing anything at all, you can bring it there and you can sell it. Everything has a very set price, so you can't charge more than that. And they are the cheapest prices. So if you're gonna be really on a tight budget, you might wanna look at living near one of these places, or if you have a car, that's fine, then you can drive there. But this is where you can get the really expensive fruit and vegetables. And they're like mom and pop places, right? They're not like the big farms. Big farms are gonna go to grocery store chains and get their products sold there, or they're gonna export them to other countries. A lot of fresh produce here in El Salvador at the grocery stores is from Honduras or Nicaragua. So as we learned, if you want local stuff, you have to go to these agro mercados.
Don't forget to hit the like button.